Hello, Professor Hose, and to whoever may see this presentation. My name is Brandon Perez-Lee, and I'll be starting off this project in which we have decided to name Companionly. This application is under development by my colleagues Benjamin DeMorett, Bryan Orellana, John Davis, and myself. Here is a little overview of our agenda, which consists of several topics we will be covering. I will be handling introduction and background, project delivery methods, and high-level architecture, with John aiding me by going more into detail with the architecture. A little bit about our project. Mental health has never been more important in today's age, with countless reasons for individual struggles, with many of those concerns still being unresolved. These issues not only disrupt an individual's quality of life, but also affects the organization's productivity and efficiency. This is where mental health web application called Companionly comes in. Companionly is just not another mental health application. We see this as a helping hand, a reliable aid to every person struggling with mental health issues. The primary goal of Companionly is to be there for its users in stressful time, just like how a caring companion would be. This is done by providing mood trackers, mindfulness tools, and Companionly's very own crisis support in their application. The need for this project is imperative as we recognize mental health issue as a global problem that is still taking the lives of many people due to some of the serious challenges that prevent many patients from accessing required therapy. These can include the negative views and perceptions people have towards mental health care seeking, the few resources that are available to most people, or just simply not knowing the resources exist. The primary aim of Companionly is to fill this gap with a user-focused platform that will be developed, built, and launched. For example, Companionly aspires to enable users to monitor their mood, do mindful exercises, seek support in distress, and so forth. Interventions such as these promote greater resilience in patients, enabling them to deal with stressors more effectively before they develop unmanageable problems. In combating the stigma relating to mental health and promoting a culture of support, the platform aims to be monumental in creating spaces that afford better access to mental health resources.
Hello, this voice is John Davis. I'm covering project objectives and scope, as well as use cases, technology, and some of the modeling you'll see later in the presentation. Our project objective is to provide users with a resource that could assist in managing their mood, as well as provide tools that promote positive mental well-being and address common mental health problems like anxiety, stress, depression, and more. We are going to achieve this by creating a mental health web application called Companionly. When users first interact with the app, they are prompted by an interface to answer a few questions related to their mood. Based on user input, relevant articles and activities would be suggested to them. Although the interactive prompt will help tunnel users to the articles that best fit their needs, all articles and activities are also available for reading in the library. Users will also be able to participate in community forums and post. Forums will be a meeting place where members of communities can engage in open discussion. Our application will also use a direct messaging system that will allow users to send messages to one another. The messaging system will also be used to chat with therapists as well. Lastly, users will be incentivized to use the application through the implementation of a reward point system. Users can earn points by logging in daily and participating in discussions. Points can then be redeemed for in-app rewards. This is to be achieved in a secure manner that adheres to all HIPAA and GDPR privacy policies. Next, we're going to be talking about product scope. The application will be built using the Spring Boot web application framework. Spring Boot was chosen due to the team's mutual experience with Java. We have no budget and will be depending on open source and free tools. The scope of the project will not include an algorithm-fed social media feed. Short form and user-uploaded video will also not be included. The focus of the app is to provide users with a digital, on-demand companion that promotes mental health and other stimulating, beneficial mental behaviors.
All right, let's take a look at who our customers and stakeholders are. Customers, in our case, are going to include the users of the product, the end users, as well as various organizations. So the end users are the individuals that are seeking the support for their mental health and well-being. And organizations include such as employers or other institutions that want to offer mental health resources to employees or members. Now, stakeholders include the development team, the product owners and managers, the marketing and sales teams, healthcare professionals, data security specialists, users, and investors or sponsors. So the development team is responsible for the design, the development, the testing, and the deployment of the application. And the product owners or managers are the ones that determine which features we want to have that all best align with the customer's needs. And then the marketing and sales teams promote the application to target audiences. And the healthcare professionals would be the ones that ensure that our content, the content that we provide the customer, the user, is evidence-based and appropriate. We'd have data security specialists that ensure the application is compliant with government regulations such as HIPAA and GDPR. And then users are going to provide feedback through beta testing. We often see that with applications. It's a good way for us to learn about what we need to work on. And we'll also evaluate user experiences. And then finally, the investors/sponsors provide the resources needed to implement the project. And they also rightfully expect updates on the product or project progress, as well as a return on their investment. All right, let's take a look at our project requirements. And these are going to be separated into functional and non-functional requirements. First, we'll start with functional requirements. Our product will allow the user to create an account with a username and password, and logins will be secure. Users must be allowed to reset their passwords with email or text verification. Our product will provide a mood tracking mechanism that determines the resources to be provided to the user from the content library. The user will be provided with a guided questionnaire. Our product will display crisis resources immediately if the questionnaire triggers their need. Our product will provide the user with a forum to interact with other users. This forum will be moderated by administrators. Our product will pull resources from a large library filled with mental health related content. And we will provide a rewards program for the user that rewards them for continued use of our product. Points can be redeemed for prizes. And a product will allow administrators to manage user accounts, moderate the forums, and update the content library. And finally, our product will enable administrators to examine user engagement and to what extent various features are being utilized. All right, now we'll talk about non-functional requirements. As far as response time, we want it to be quick, we want it to be minimal, and smooth for the user. We want there to be a user-friendly interface, and this interface should appeal to those with varying levels of technical proficiency. We want the product to be easy to use. The product should support a growing user base. We want to have an uptime of 99% or greater, and users will be notified of any planned downtime. The system will keep user data protected and encrypted, and our product will be compliant with HIPAA and GDPR regulations. The functionality of our product is modular, and it's going to be developed, tested, and maintained independently, all these modules. If one module needs assistance, we can work on that without affecting the rest of the system. And we want our product to be compatible with Android 9 and newer, or iOS 13 and newer, which is roughly any OS in the last 5 years. And we want our product to also work seamlessly on web browsers as well.
Next, we'll go over some of the high-level use cases. Take a minute to look at the diagram on the left. We have 3 actors and 13 use cases. The use cases were derived from the requirements, and the actors are the users who will be using our application: customers, administrators, and therapists. There are 3 use cases located in the lower right corner, which are acted upon by the system. On the right, you can see a brief description of each use case. Users will interact with use cases 1 to 3 and 5 to 8. Administrators will also act upon the use case for moderating forms and messages, use cases 5 and 6, in addition to the use case for data analytics and administrator panel. Lastly, therapists will act upon use case 6, the direct messaging system, which will allow therapists to respond to messages from users. We've also implemented a use case to ensure the web application is performant and user-friendly, in addition to also being secure.
So here are some of our assumptions. Users will engage actively and provide honest feedback. Reliable internet access and modern browsers will be available. Partnership with licensed mental health professionals will validate content. Data privacy regulations like HIPAA and GDPR will also adhere. Some of the project constraints are budget, of course, predefined limited features and infrastructures, time. We have 8 weeks to complete the project and agile sprints. Technology is going to be limited to Spring plus timely framework, and the staffing to small team requiring multitasking roles. Some of the project issues and risks. The key risks here are budget constraints, tight time limits, compliance challenges, user engagement and retention. Our mitigation plans are agile practices with progress, collaboration, and legal and mental health professionals, and regular testing and user feedback.
The requirements to implement Companionly calls for a wide array of tools and technology. A common saying in software development is that the best tool for a job is the one that works. Other frameworks like React or Django may seem attractive, but they would also require the team to come up to speed with the corresponding technology. Due to the team's mutual familiarity with Java, we have decided to use the Spring Boot web app framework to build the application. The Spring Boot web suite comes pre-packaged with most of the requirements we need to build the application. You can see a few of the services in the middle diagram there. Spring Data is a Java processing API that helps manage database interactions. This API, in addition to Spring Data JDBC, will be used to connect and manipulate stored data within our database. Spring Security is a framework feature that has support for secure login and role-based access control, which satisfies the requirements for requirements 1 and 9. The security service also has features baked in for session control, will help satisfy some of the compliance requirements. We'll be using TimeLeaf in addition to Spring Boot to load any static or dynamic content. TimeLeaf is a server-side template engine that is used for processing HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and more. We'll also be using Bootstrap to help build the interactive and styling components in the app. Lastly, we'll be using Google Cloud as our hosting platform. Using the free tier, we'll be able to host both the web and database server for up to 90 days.
Hello, my name is Bryan Perez-Lee, and I will be covering project delivery methods. So our mental health web application, which is available as a web-based application, has been developed with consideration of ease of use for both users and administrators. The current state of the system is still desktop and laptop browser based, meaning that users are able to reach it using any modern web browser. So obviously, that's Edge, Google Chrome, without needing to install any other programs. We aim to eventually have mobile applications in the future with the aim of expanding accessibilities to mobile devices for additional convenience. The application begins with security measures as security features for user registrations and logins are provided, including password reset options via email and text verification systems. A range of options, including server-based mood tracking, crisis support resources, mediation, and wellness literature are also available to users. Amenities such as direct messages, online forum discussions, and loyalty programs has also increased the level of interaction between users. The system enables administrators to manage user accounts, manage forums, edit manage content, and monitor user engagement and its activities through statistical packages. This web based delivery method provides both a reliable and flexible base while at the same time preparing for mobile connectivity in the future. Hello, it's Bryan Perez-Lee again, and I previously was going over project delivery methods, and I will also be going over the high-level architecture. So the mental health web application is constructed with the idea of allowing separation of its components into modules that are easier to manage, modify, and scale. And this is achieved through the basic object-oriented design principles. It's organized in a pattern comprising essentially four major parts, which would be the presentation layer, business logic layer, data access layer, and the database layer. User interactions are the domain of this layer, whose content is rendered dynamically using Thymeleaf. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Templates. The business logic layer is where essentially functionality operates. So that's the mood logs, the crisis calls, and the reward systems. The data access layer links the business logic to the data repository in the following sense, where it connects using Spring, which is a technical framework for managing users' accounts, forum posts, and lots of other stuff. Finally, the database layer incorporates and maintains all application data in a secured form, compliant with HIPAA standards. We're not medical expertise here, but we will do our best to make sure we follow the standards there. Overall, I believe the team has done a good job identifying that the layers are very nicely integrated so that the user experience can be great, easy, convenient, as should be, especially when it comes to a mental health crisis. The UML diagram, which contains class diagrams, sequence diagrams, and others, help present the structure and features of the system and business processes. The focus of the system is what's needed today, while at the same time enhancing future needs. And I believe that's something that we can present to that very, very well. And John will be showing examples of that.
I'll be delving further into our architecture, modeling, and general design principles. As mentioned previously, we are using a layered approach to building our application. Specifically, we'll be using a model, view, controller, design pattern. Take a moment to look at our design principles. There are three main parts which correspond to our layers. When a user does something in our app, their input sends a request to a controller. The controller takes the request from the user and contacts the models. The model is the layer which contains the application data, business logic, and responds to requests from the view and the controllers. It returns the completed request back to the controller. The controller delivers requests back to the user in the form of the view layer. This layer does not interact directly with the application data. It only serves as a sort of way to decide what the user will see on the screen and how. Databases will be created to store login credentials and other user data. On the right, you can see some rough object relational mapping. Additional relational databases will be created and maintained for forum discussions, rewards, metadata, and admin logs. On the bottom left, this is what we plan our user view to be. Our default layout will include a common header and common footer, composing of conventional header and footer things. Our app content will be dependent on the feature of the app that the user is currently using. As mentioned before, we are going with a model, view, and controller design pattern. The models contain the objects and data contained within our application, and the controller acts as the middleman between the models and the view. Shown is some of the modeling we have planned for each layer.
So our agile team formation and responsibilities, our team roles, they're going to be Scrum Master, they facilitate meetings, they resolve blockers. Our product owner will define and prioritize features. Our developers will build features and fix bugs. Content specialists will collaborate with mental health professionals. Data security specialists will ensure compliance and security. Our daily stand-ups will be held at 9 a.m. to synchronize tasks. So our team responsibilities is we're going to have clear role assignments, ensure accountability and efficiency. Collaboration across roles to address blockers and sprint velocity. Frequent communication through agile ceremonies, stand-ups, sprints, and reviews. So our iteration plan. Iteration 1 will take, between week 1 and 2, we'll secure user registration and login, define product backlog, and project setup. Iteration 2, which will be week 3 to 4, mood tracker development and mindfulness tools implementation. Iteration 3, which consists of week 5 through 6, community forum setup, direct messaging, and reward systems. Lastly, our iterations for weeks 7 through 8, finalize content libraries, optimize security, and conduct testing.
In conclusion, the MHWA will exist to promote emotional well-being to its users while providing accessible tools and reducing mental health stigmas. The MHWA will provide a mood tracking questionnaire, mindfulness activities, crisis support, and forums for users to interact with and provide encouragement to one another. Utilizing agile methods, our developers will seek to design and implement software that is secure and compliant with various healthcare laws and regulations. The development and implementation timeline is a short one, so our team will need to put in great effort while adhering to our iteration plans in order to provide a working, quality product. Our goal is to empower our users to be resilient and provide them with quality resources tailored to their specific mental health needs. We thank you for watching.